Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. There's nothing going on right now. We are in the dog days of the offseason, and it's tough to get excited about anything NBA related because there's nothing NBA related going on. Even the news we do get, like the Jalen Brown, Kevin Durant news, it comes out hours later that's weeks old information. Oh, terrible. So I decided, why not break the low a little bit? Why not try and do something fun? Let's take the Athletics 2022 Mavericks fan survey together. That way we have a good sense of where the Mavericks stand going into the 2022-2023 season and how we feel as a fan base about the team. All right, shout out to Tim Cato, shout out to the Athletic. He posted this. This is their third time doing it, right? This is the first time I've taken it. I think I might have done it in the past. I just don't remember. And I've seen a few of these questions on Twitter. All right, I've seen some debates that a few of these questions have sparked. But outside of that, I'm pretty much going into this blind. So this should be fun. This should be a fun little test of our fandom just to see where we stand. Let's get into this thing, all right? When did you become a Mavericks fan? All right, starting it off with a softball one. 80s, Rolando Blackman era. No, I wasn't alive, right? I just turned 27, so I am essentially an old man, but I was not alive in the 80s. The 90s, the 3Js era. No, I was a little toddler in the 90s. But I will say this. I've gone back. I'm working on this video right now where I'm going back and watching old Mavs games. Holy shit, they were terrible. The 90s Mavericks I think they were statistically the worst team in the 90s. They were absolutely horrible. And it kind of gives you an idea, an understanding of why there is such a big portion of the Mavs fan base that is willing to give Cuban a bit of a pass. Because they turned it around almost immediately after Cuban came in. Of course, a lot of that had to do with Dirk Nowitzki. Like, yes, Cuban lucked out a lot there. But Jesus Christ, they were absolutely awful. I mean, they were absolutely awful and unwatchable in the 90s. Horrible move after horrible move. Trading away Jason Kidd. Obviously, in the future, they trade away Steve Nash. But just horrible move after horrible move. They were terrible. So it lends some credence into why a big portion of the Mavs fan base is willing to forgive Mark Cuban because he did turn around the Mavs franchise. Or at least he became the owner at a very convenient time for him. Early 2000s. I still think I was a little bit too young here. Dirk and Nash era, obviously fantastic. I remember this is when I first started going to games. I remember the first game that I went to. It was, it might not have been the first game, but my grandpa won some courtside seats at his work to go to a Timberwolves Mavs game. It was when Kevin Garnett was on the Timberwolves, and it was bobblehead night. And I have the bobblehead on my head, like dancing with the bobblehead on my head, trying to get on the big screen. It fell off, and the fucking bobblehead broke, and the head rolled down onto the court, and I was a mess. I was crying. And then this guy behind me tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Here you go, kid." And he gave me his bobblehead. Now, of course, in retrospect, that guy was not trying to be nice. He was more so like, "Here you go, kid. Please shut the fuck up and stop crying." But, if you're watching this video, thank you very much. I still have that bobblehead to this day. But also, that game, too... That game changed my life in a lot of different ways. But before the game started, right, even before warm-up started, like the ball boys, they were on the court, they were putting up shots, and I wanted to go out there and I wanted to shoot. So my grandpa asked the usher, right, he asked the usher, "Hey, how can he get on the floor and go shoot hoops with these guys?" The usher looked at me and she says, "If you want to get on that court, what you got to do is you got to work really hard, and you got to practice. You got to practice every day, and you got to practice harder than all of the other kids. Okay, you got to work really hard, and then maybe one day you'll get drafted into the NBA, and you can go on that court." And me and my grandpa are both looking at her like, I know how to get to the fucking NBA. I'm trying to get onto the court right now to shoot. She says, "Oh, you got to be the ball boy on the team." So yeah, that was patronizing and humiliating. And that day, I said I was going to become an NBA player to prove to really take it to that usher because she humiliated me on that day. I was going to make it to the NBA. But then later in my life, I discovered fast food and alcohol, and it was all downhill from there, unfortunately. So I'm going mid to late 2000s. That's when I really started becoming a fan, really started loving the Mavs. That's where they are. All right, all right, that was the first question. We got to fly through these. How many Mavericks games did you watch in the 2021-2022 season? There were 100 combined regular season games. Damn. 100 combined regular season and postseason games. Well, I would say more than 95, probably all of them. I streamed pretty much all of them on this channel. If you want to subscribe, you should do it. We stream all of the time Mavs games, and I got some big plans for this upcoming season. We're going to be streaming pretty much every single night during the NBA season, watching games around the league. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you're subscribed, okay? How many Mavericks games did you attend in the 2021-2022 season? 0. I have yet to go to I used to go to probably 10 Mavs games a year or so. But since I started streaming, I have not gone to a Mavericks game. The last Mavericks game I went to was the Nuggets-Mavs game right before the season got canceled because of COVID. And that was a fun one. The season got canceled mid-game. At halftime, they announced that they were going to postpone the season, but they finished the game out. It was a crazy fucking atmosphere. Boban dropped 30 points. It was absolutely insane. Besides Luka Doncic, who's your favorite current Mavericks player? This one's easy. It's Dorian Finney-Smith. I'm willing to bet he wins this poll in a landslide. He's just the heart and soul of the team, right? Luka, as the best player, is the de facto captain. Like he just is. That's how it works, especially in the NBA. You only go as far as your best player will take you. But Dorian Finney-Smith, he's the heart and soul, man. He's the lifeblood of the team. He's a tenacious defender, right? Tenacious. He's a tenacious defender. He guards the other team's best players. He hits big shots after big shots. He talks shit to their team, talks shit to their team's bench. After a big bucket, God, I love that. I love when players do that. If I was a professional athlete, I'd be screaming all of the time after pretty much every single play. There's no other profession where you can scream like that, and it makes sense. And I just feel like it's a great way to unleash like all the pent-up rage inside of you. But unfortunately, I can't do that, so I just have to do it when I'm mimicking Dorian Finney-Smith. But I absolutely love Dorian Finney-Smith. Hopefully, he's a Mav lifer. Hopefully, he's a guy where at the end of his career, it's a successful one, lots of winning, and you think to yourself, damn, should the Mavs retire that jersey? Like, he was just such an important piece on that team. We'll have to wait and see. How successful was the Mavericks 2021-2022 season? 5 being complete success, 1 being complete failure. I think I'm going to go 4. I don't think I could go 5. To me, 5 is a championship. That's what a complete success is, especially if you're a team, obviously that's not necessarily fair because you have to add context into it. And going into the season, the hopes and dreams for Mavs fans was, all right, let's make it out of the first round, right? And let's win a playoff series, and then we could go from there. And obviously they overachieved based off of those goals. And, beating the Suns, the 1 seed, the team that looked absolutely unbeatable at times in the regular season, beating them in the second round and doing it in humiliating fashion in Game 7, that was phenomenal. But you make it to the Final Four, right? You make it to the conference championship. You're one of the last 4 teams. 8 more wins and you're a champion. Yeah, that you want to win it all. You want to win the whole thing. So I can't say complete success, but it was a great season, a great run. 4, love it. How successful has the Mavs 2022 offseason been? Okay. All right. 1 being complete failure, 5 being complete success. I'm going to go 2. I can't say it was a complete failure, but it has not been good. It has not been good. Now, I do like the moves that the team has made. The moves the team has made, I like. Obviously, yes, infamously, I said that I didn't want Christian Wood on the Mavericks only days before the trade happened. But considering what they gave up, I like it. They gave up pretty much nothing. They gave up their first-round draft pick, but then they went back in the draft into the early second round to go and get Jaden Hardy, a player who they are already eyeing, who they wanted with their 26th overall pick. So that's that's a great job by the front office. I like the JaVale McGee signing, especially considering all of the players who I wanted the Mavs to go after with the taxpayer exception. It just didn't make sense, right? Their market was way too big for the Mavericks to get in with $6 million. So I liked the JaVale McGee addition. And, losing Brunson sucks. Like, losing Brunson and not really having a replacement absolutely sucks. And I can already see the next question talks about that. But it's hard for me to say this is a complete failure. It's hard for me to say. If they brought back Jalen Brunson, it would have been a huge, successful offseason. But since they lost Jalen Brunson, yeah, that definitely sucked some life out of it. Do the Mavericks need to acquire another playmaking guard for the 2022-2023 season? And I love this answer right here. Yes, but it can be an in-season acquisition. Yes, that's 100% what it is. I think that's probably what's going to happen, honestly. I don't know. I guess maybe there's a chance they swoop in here and the Donovan Mitchell trade, whenever it happens, they swoop in, they try to add somebody from the Jazz or maybe somebody else, like another team that gets involved for some reason. I don't know. But I think that they're probably going to go into the season and see what they got. And I think that's fine. That's what they did last year. They had Luka and Jalen Brunson were the only guys who could handle the ball, really. And they went and got Spencer Dinwiddie at the deadline. So I think it's very possible we see that. Dwight Powell's an expiring contract. He can be used in trade talks. I think Kaliba's expiring. You don't want to trade him, though. So I doubt that they trade him. But you got some contracts you can move around. And you see at the deadline, maybe some team is worse than they expected. And they're a seller that nobody thought. I don't know. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. All offseason, I thought there's another move coming. There has to be another move coming. It doesn't make sense. I don't think that's the case anymore unless, again, they attach themselves to a huge Donovan Mitchell trade and pick up some scraps. But, yes, they have to acquire one, but it can be during the season. How frustrated are you that the Mavericks lost Jalen Brunson for nothing in return? Yeah, I'm frustrated. 5 being very frustrated. I wouldn't say very frustrated. I would just go 4. The reason I'm not going 5 is it's really hard to blame anybody. Like, going 5 and being very frustrated, it feels like I'm mad at somebody. I'm mad at Nico Harrison. I'm mad at Michael Finley. I'm mad at Mark Cuban. That's not really the case. Obviously, with hindsight, yes, it would have paid off big time to give Brunson the extension last offseason. But I understood not doing it at the time. Again, I've said this before. I don't believe that the Mavericks actually had a chance to get Brunson for $55 million in January. I just don't believe that at all. So it sucks that he left, right? I would have liked the front office to have a little bit more foresight to see, all right, the Knicks might clear up some room here and make a real push and maybe trade him at the deadline. Again, I don't know. You don't make the Western Conference Finals in that scenario, and I'm happy we made the Western Conference Finals, so I don't know if I would have done that. But still, it's something to think about. It is frustrating losing a player of Brunson's caliber for nothing. But, yeah, it's not a 5, but it's a 4. Let's say, hypothetically, I love hypotheticals, Jalen Brunson would have returned to Dallas for the same annual salary he received from New York. Would you have signed him to a 5-year, $130 million deal? That's an average salary of $26 million. Wow, he's making that much? $26 million? You know, I had said at certain points during the offseason that I had a walk-away point with Jalen Brunson. Like, if I'm the Mavs, I have a walk-away point, a number where I just can't reach. But that was before I actually thought his market was that high. Like, that was just me saying that, thinking his market wasn't that high. Yes, I would do this. I would 1,000% do it. Obviously, you know, one of the good things about the Brunson contract is I believe it's going down in value every year. It's very similar to that Tim Hardaway contract where, you know, it's highest in the beginning and then it goes down as the cap spikes. So that's a valuable thing in a contract. I would do this for sure. Even if you think it's an overpay for Brunson, which who knows, maybe it is. The more time goes on and look at that, and I think, you know, that's probably not an overpay for Brunson. Like that seems about the market for players of Brunson's caliber. You still don't lose an asset for nothing. And even if you think he is overpaid, you could bring Brunson in, and Jalen Brunson making $26 million a year, that's not some untradeable contract. That's a contract you can move down the road easily. That's definitely somebody who would have value to some team. So there's no way I would let Jalen Brunson go for nothing. You know, if you brought Jalen Brunson back and you made all the other moves you made, you had one of the best offseasons in the NBA. Going out and getting a promising young player in Jaden Hardy, bringing in Christian Wood for basically free, bringing in JaVale McGee. Like, you had a great offseason. So, yes, I would definitely do this. Feel free to elaborate. I just did. Who will be the Mavericks' second most important player this next season? Ooh, yeah, here we go. Christian Wood, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith. The answer is easily Spencer Dinwiddie to me. You know, this is a fun thought experiment, and I've been thinking about maybe making a video like this where you look across the NBA and you try to determine who's the most important player. Who are the most important players in the leagues who aren't, you know, stars, all-stars, or superstar level players? I think Spencer Dinwiddie would be towards the top of that list. He is incredibly important to this team. If he has a bad season or for one reason or another is not producing on the court like you would like him to, it's going to be spooky for the Mavericks. Like, it's going to be bad. And they're going to be backed into the corner and have to make a play for a ball handler. Now, if he goes back to how he was right after the trade deadline, how he was pre-ACL injury in Brooklyn, where he's a 20-5 guy, the efficiency is not great, but still a 20-5 guy, that's really nice to have as your second ball handler. Then the Mavs are going to be a good team. Like, they just are. They're going to be a good team. Yeah, the Brunson loss sucks, but you replace that with Dinwiddie. And I've seen people say now, right, obviously this comes off so petty, but Dinwiddie's better than Brunson. I don't think that at all. But it's not that far away. If we get the Dinwiddie we got after the deadline, who's very efficient on catch and shoot threes, can create for himself, can create for others, or the Dinwiddie from Brooklyn where he's dropping 20 points a night. Like, I think that he's the most important player on this Mavs team, not named Luka Doncic, just because of the roster construction. Now, Brunson was here. Obviously, this is a different answer, but I would probably say Dorian Finney-Smith in that instance just because his defense is so valuable. But because there's no other ball handlers, it is Spencer Dinwiddie for sure. How much confidence do you have in Mark Cuban's Mavericks ownership? No confidence. Maybe that's not fair. Who was it on the Dan Labatard show who said that Mark Cuban is, I don't remember what it was, a brilliant fuck up or something? That's not what he said. And then maybe what I said is a little bit more mean, but it's like Mark Cuban, why would I have confidence? Going back to what I said earlier about the 90s stuff where, yeah, he inherited a team that was terrible and then they immediately turned it around. Yeah, that's great. But what over the past decade has led me to have confidence in Mark Cuban as an owner? And it's actually kind of crazy because I was thinking about this with Kevin Durant requesting a trade and wanting to go to Phoenix. Robert Sarver is a piece of literal shit. This guy sucks. He's one of the worst owners in the league. Everybody fucking hates him. He's a terrible human being. The Suns fan base despises him. You've got people, old women going to town hall meetings and shitting all over him. Like, it's absolutely terrible, yet people still want to go play in Phoenix. But yet Mark Cuban, who's seen as this great owner and all of this shit, nobody ever wants to come and play here. Why is that? What's the deal? It's not like Phoenix is some great market, right? It's in the middle of the desert. There shouldn't be cities in the fucking desert. Let's just get that out of the way. All right, Texas is well on its way to being a desert. Jesus Christ, it's so hot. But I'm not confident in Mark Cuban's ownership. It just is what it is. The business side of things, I think he does well. People care about the Mavs. The arena is full. But, knowing that he has a big influence on basketball decision-making, I'm not confident. How much has your confidence level in Mark Cuban ownership changed over the past decade? I guess much less confident. In the 2000s, you had to feel pretty good. The Mavs were a perennial contender, 50-plus wins pretty much every single year. Dirk looked great. They made pretty good moves. They had pretty good rosters. But the past decade has been horrible. I mean, it really has been malpractice up and down the board. Like from the front office, every moves that just make no sense. Terrible draft picks, horrible contracts, shedding contracts that you shouldn't be shedding to go after free agents you're not going to get. And then it turns out the free agents you wanted to go after ended up having terrible careers afterwards. Like they dodged a bullet by not being a destination. So I'm just not that confident. How much confidence do you have in Nico Harrison's front office? I'll go 4. I feel pretty confident with him. I made a video not too long ago talking about, breaking down every move he's made. And I think the moves he's made have been good. Obviously, I can't blame Jalen Brunson leaving on Nico Harrison at all. I can't. That was a terrible contract that he was given going into his rookie year that allowed him to be an unrestricted free agent. I don't blame the Mavs front office for not giving him the extension after that Clipper series. And, it was just a bad situation. Obviously, the one move I would say right now, a little bit iffy on, is the Tim Hardaway extension, but we'll see. We have to see how Tim plays this year. And again, I'm not really blaming Nico for that because he inherited a unrestricted free agent. And I wouldn't be surprised if Cuban said, hey, you're bringing him back. Like, you're bringing Tim back. Like, we want him back. Bring him back. In hindsight, I would rather have used that money elsewhere on different players, on free agents, but I get it. I'll go 4. I can't go 5, but I'll go 4. How much confidence do you have in kids coaching? I'll go 4 again. I hated this hire at the time, and I don't want there to be some revisionist history, man. Pretty much everybody fucking hated this hiring. Everybody did. Okay, so yes, I had a bad take about the kid hiring, but so did everybody else. So I'll give myself a get out of jail free card there. But I'll go 4. I mean, he had a great year, a year that defied expectations. Turned defense that was 21st, I think, in 2020, 2021 into a top 10 defense, top 5 defense. What did they finish? Took them to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in over a decade. Completely and totally outcoached the coach of the year, Monty Williams. I mean, took him behind the woodshed and just embarrassed them, right? So I'll go 4 here. I'll go 4. He had a great year. I just can't go 5. 5 is just a little too much for me. How confident are you that the Mavericks will win a championship in the next 5 seasons? Oh, man, this one's hard. With 77 on your team, literally anything is possible. You can do anything with 77 on your roster. But I can't go 5 for sure. I can't even go 4. I don't know if I can go 3. I'll go 2, right? 1 would be like, there's no possible way we can become a championship contender. 2 is, I don't really have faith, but Luka Doncic is on the team. So that's where we're at. And they just made the Western Conference Finals. But we know how things can be, man. The Hawks made the Eastern Conference Finals, and then we're really not good at all this season. The Trailblazers, they made a Western Conference Finals appearance and then never went back. Like you just gotta keep that in mind. The Nuggets made a Western Conference Finals and they haven't been back. Like the NBA is weird. A lot can change over the next 5 years, and who knows? Maybe 5 years from now, Jaden Hardy becomes a really good player, or some disgruntled star says, "I want to go play in Dallas. Get me to Dallas," and the Mavericks are building, a dynasty level team. Who knows? But given the past decade, I'm not that confident. All right, so I'll go 2. The roster construction scares me. It really does. I hope the front office has a plan, but man, it's difficult to see that with the roster construction right now. Which of the following non-Doncic players are you confident can play 25 plus effective minutes in competitive playoff game? This is the question I have seen people go crazy about. This is the question I've seen people, lose their minds over. So let's go ahead and go through it. Frank Ntilikina, no. I like Frank. He had some big moments in the playoffs, played some really good defense on Chris Paul and Devin Booker, but no, 25 plus minutes in a competitive playoff game, no thank you. Dorian, yes, obviously. Check that. Do I even need to say anything else? He is the best defender on the team, one of the best defenders in the NBA. Hey, according to NBA Twitter, the second best defender in the game. So, hey, it's not me saying that. That's NBA Twitter. Josh Green, Dwight Powell, Christian Wood. Oh, shit. Christian Wood, 25 plus effective minutes. I don't know if I can go there right now. As crazy as that is to say, I don't know if I can confidently say that currently, that I would be cool with Christian Wood playing 25 plus minutes in a playoff game. Let me go back to that one. Davis Bertans, no. JaVale McGee, 25 plus minutes, no. Spence, I'll have to say yes. I do feel confident in that. Remember, Spencer dropped 30 points in a game 7 on the road. I'll keep saying that. He had some duds this past postseason, but it is what it is. Tim Hardaway Jr. I feel like if I'm giving Dinwiddie the nod, don't I have to give Tim the nod? Actually, no. There's this raging debate going on right now about who would you rather have in the playoffs, Spencer Dinwiddie or Tim Hardaway. That's a tough one. I feel like if shots aren't falling for Dinwiddie, he can impact the game a little bit more than Tim. So that's why I'll give him the nod. But if I'm putting Spencer on here for 25 plus effective minutes, I feel like I almost have to do Tim. But I don't think I can. Like, the defense is just too bad for me sometimes. Spencer at least can be okay defensively and can play make. Maxey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm okay with Maxey getting 25 plus minutes if it's like 25 or 26. His defense is that good, and his shooting in the playoffs, it's there. Like, it just was there this past postseason, even though it wasn't there during the regular season. He had some huge moments in that Jazz series. Without him, I don't even know. They probably do in that Jazz series, but he was a huge reason why they were up 2-1 whenever Luka came back. So I'll go Maxey, even though that might be a little unpopular. I will do it. And Reggie, obviously, yes. Either Reggie or Dorian led the league in minutes per game this past postseason. And for good reason. Shooters who can defend like crazy. That's why I'm putting Maxey on here too. 25 plus minutes. So yeah, I don't think I can go Christian Wood just yet. I have to see defensively how it all plays out with him. But I would say there's a good chance I would feel okay with that. But right now it's Dorian, Spence, Maxey, and Reggie. And it's not like any of those guys are stars. And even then, like, Spence and Maxey, I'm like, eh. Like, there's really only Dorian and Reggie who I'm like, yes, they can play 35, 40 minutes a night, and I'm okay with that. So, yeah, that question made me feel like shit. How far do the Mavericks need to reach in the postseason for next season to be considered successful? Just make the playoffs? No, we need to have higher goals than that. Reach the conference semis? Yeah. Reach the conference finals, reach the finals, win the finals. I'll go reach the conference semis. Like, I don't think what the Mavs did last season was a fluke at all. I don't. They were a top 3 team in the league from January onward, and they would have swept the Jazz 100%. Maybe the Jazz win one at home, but they probably would have beat the Jazz in 4 or 5 if Luke was healthy. What they did to the Suns, I mean, that game 7 was insane. You can call that a fluke all you want, but they won by 40 fucking points. And then, yeah, they got beat by a better Warriors team. But I think making it to the second round would be good. Like, that would at least give the Mavs fans some confidence. Like, okay, we're still in the mix, right? We need to make some moves here and there, but we're not far. Like, we really aren't that far off. Anything less than that is a little bit concerning, right? Missing the playoffs would be a fucking nightmare, obviously. Losing in round 1 would kind of put you in a spot where you're like, holy shit. Maybe last season was a fluke, and maybe we got a long way to go, sort of like Atlanta this past year. And then they went out and got DeJounte Murray, so maybe that could be a blessing in disguise. No, I won't say that. And then anything beyond reaching the conference finals would be amazing. Going back to the conference finals, incredible. Reaching the finals or winning the final. I mean, do I even need to explain? What are you most looking forward to for the 2022-2023 season? Basketball. I already miss basketball so much. I'm just ready to watch. I'm ready to get back and I'm ready to watch. I'm thinking this is the year for Luka. I think he's going to have some narratives on his side, MVP-wise. He had a great postseason run. He looks to be in shape. The Mavericks, on paper, people think they should be worse than last year. So if they come out and they're a top 3 seed, top 4 seed again, I think Luka's probably going to win the MVP. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to see how Spencer Dinwiddie, second year removed from an ACL injury, or I guess third year technically, or second, I don't know. But second full season back from an ACL injury. Excited to see how that looks. Excited to see Josh Green progression. It has to be there. Like the Mavs really are kind of depending on Josh Green taking a step forward, and I need to see it. Jane Hardy, I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see how Christian Wood plays out. I'm just excited. I miss it. I'm ready for it to come back.